Hello and welcome to another edition of State of the Industry. We have a very special guest, industry leader, influencer, Kevin Peranio, the good old KP. How are you, sir?
Good. Thanks for having me, Anthony. I appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you. So let's get started. How's your golf game?
Oh, God. I haven't played in 4 months. So it's been.
That's right. You're injured.
Yeah, I injured my AC joint. So no one wants to hear about it. Nobody cares. No complaints. But it's nice to get a little bit more family time in. I'm still putting in the hours. It's so crazy, man. When I'm leaving my office at 3 or 4 in the morning on the West Coast, and you're pinging me, and you're already at your office grinding. I mean, look, there's a few of us in this business who grind, man, and but you gotta recover, man. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm not working out. I'm not playing golf. I'm not doing anything. I just watch my kids play soccer. So,
That's
dad
awesome.
bod, baby.
The dad bod for sure. So, another guy that works his butt off, Gary Malice. How's this last 9 months been overall? As you guys, I remember being in the foxhole with you during COVID, like when things really start to get dicey, the margin calls, like Gary was hopping on these Facebook Lives, you were hopping on these Facebook Lives, really brought a lot of knowledge to the industry, and you kind of owned it after that point. It became everybody tunes in you now. But how have you guys been navigating this opposite move up?
Yeah, it's interesting. You have someone like Gary Malice who, there's Paul Rozo and Robert Holiday, who founded our company and 21 years ago. And then I've been with the company about 11 and a half years. Gary came over officially as a partner about 5 years ago. And I've only been a partner for about 6 years. And Gary has gone way back. I mean, the original privately owned huge lender, First Magnus, that had multiple channels, he was their guy, cap markets and strategy. So he's gone through like a real recession, right? So he's about, 10 years older than me. All those guys are about 10 years older than me. So I would say having that experience from them, and then myself now, been in the business, it's literally been 21 years, this spring. I've seen all these cycles. And so this isn't new. It's not new to us. We feel good about it. We think having price consistency, builds trust, with our originators, and we're, but no one's immune to the big macro moves. It's been, there's just a lot less liquidity in the secondary market. There's just a lot less mortgage-backed securities trading hands. And, you had one of the biggest buyers out there, basically taper down with the Fed, and then at the same time also raise rates. And so, I just think it's just one of those parts of the cycle. Not, we had it like this right after Brexit. We had a little boost with after Brexit, and then, between now and I think February will be the roughest waters. But then, the industry has to deleverage a little bit, right? So small privately owned companies that hold on to our staff and invest in our staff. We're still hiring. We're still hiring every month. Like, we're net hiring every month. Like one of the things our HR director does at our senior management meeting every month is he goes, we started with this many left, this many hired. Here's our end result every month. And we're net hiring right now. And that's, in ops and sales. So we feel like, some of these other larger lenders, it's always easy to pick on, like better.com, right? They thought they were smarter than originators, and they made fun of originators for making commission, but they pretty much do, like almost all online lenders. They're, mostly doing refi business, and not trying to make fun of them or make light of the fact that people are being let go, but thousands of people let go. Their model is a bottle rocket, and so, or a shooting star. Sustainable community lending, where you dig in and get deeply rooted and build purchase money business at all times. That is what is sustained. And so we think between now and February, it's a seasonal trend where there's less purchase business out there. Still plenty of purchase business out there, but we got to watch a lot of these bigger players out there kind of continue to deleverage their operations capacity while we hold on to ours and continue to have good service and just manage, manage our expenses and make sure that we continue to turn a profit. And again, I think this industry will have deleveraged between now and February, and then spring purchase season kicks off again next year. And I think, again, it's going to be a 2.3, $2.4 trillion year. It's a massive year, mostly purchase business. So, we're always optimistic. We're always bullish, even in the face of adversity.
That's honestly, you've been telling me that since the first time we really started to develop our relationship. It's actually had a major influence on the way I've been going about building UMortgage. Is just, I saw the relationships that you had across the country, both, broker, all channels. Like, you really developed, you're the king of relationships, vendors, like, you name it. Like, you're in the weeds and you develop those relationships. And like, to me, better.com, like, those business models, like, they're transactions. Like, transactions win when rates are low. Relationships win every market all the time. They always win. So, I believe that the loan originators that just double down right now on relationships are going to be the ones that become the new top 100, top 200 LOs in the country. And it's a big opportunity. How do you feel about the opportunity that this market's presenting?
Oh, this year might be like the 7th biggest year ever. Right. So, and most of it purchase business. So the opportunity to build relationships, to your point, is always there. I appreciate the kind words. I try and, just handle everybody with grace, and, and no matter who it is. I mean, think of all the LinkedIn messages we get from vendors that want to, a piece of our company and want to sell us something. I actually read them and listen to them. You never know, what they have to say or what you're going to find out in there. And again, I agree. I think relationships matter. I feel I could always do a better job because I kind of spread myself personally so thin across other things. I mean, could I focus more on, my retail branch managers or my wholesale account executives and give them more of my love, my family, let's be real here. Right. So, but when you want to try and serve as many as you can, one of the curses that comes with that blessing is that you are spread somewhat thin, but I love the fact that you and I have kept a really good relationship, these last several years since we really got kicked off here, and I agree. I think the opportunity is huge. When you talk about relationships as opposed to transactions, there's this old adage, it's cheaper, better, faster, pick two, right? And what Amazon did, with their business models, they came in and they put everyone in their box and they said, we don't want this. If you want all three, okay, if you want cheaper, better, and faster, you're going to work inside this box and you can't go outside this ecosystem. Apple did it. And there are companies in our industry that do that as well. And it's a brilliant business model. Having said that, when you have a box, there are things outside the box, which is where that phrase comes from, that don't get done. And so it's a challenge for us or any lender to have 3 channels and serve originators in literally 3 different ways, and they all have their strengths and weaknesses, especially at certain different times of the market cycle. But what's interesting about, the companies that lead with price, what they're saying is cheaper comes first. And that tends to be more transactional. So you can have all 3 though. So, but I like to rearrange that saying. I like to say better, faster, and then cheaper. We put cheaper last, not because we don't want to put out a competitive price, but price can't be your lead in, because if it is, it cheapens the relationship and it makes it more transactional. And, so what happens if you're cheapest one day and then you're not the next day? You're doing great with a bunch of business for those that value that, won transactions. And then literally the next day, as soon as, you raise your margins, that business goes to your competitor. And so where is the relationship there? And so, so for us, we've tried to be consistent with our price. We lead with being better. We're always working on being faster. And we've been working on that. We have great turn times as far as a lender's concerned, but also faster at developing. We have a rec right now to go out and hire 2 more developers and beef up our staff because we have some things on our tech roadmap that we want to build. We're constantly investing. So we're constantly investing. We use RPA, robotic process automation, and we feel that companies that constantly invest in themselves will help get better relationships. Because if I can automate certain mundane tasks, then my people can do more of the exception stuff. And that's where you build and strengthen relationships. When you bail out a realtor because you did a really tough deal, or you help out one of your originators in any one of your channels because you did something that is hard to get done anywhere. And so we are philosophically aligned, brother. It's relationships, not transactions.
100%. I think one of the things you said there about Amazon working in the box, like that is a consumer, that's a consumer relationship. To me, in our space, whether you're a loan originator, retail correspondent, or a broker, all those loan originators face the same question. And the question is like, I'm going to put a value on the relationship I'm putting. So if it's highest comp plan, or if it's best price, or like, you're going to put a value on it. Okay. And what I've learned is that, people expect a good client experience, but what they, for their customers, but what they expect even more is like, they appreciate not having to feel like they're battling their underwriter, not feeling like they have to do the underwriter's job or do the processor's job. Like, it's a team, and they have a relationship with their team, and it's intentional. And now all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I'm closing loans to give my customer the best price, and we're getting closed on time, but it doesn't hurt to do it. Like, I feel good that I'm working with my team. And like this business, it's like, I'm looking out the window right now at the Four Seasons Hotel. Every night, the Four Seasons is fully booked, and it's not the cheapest. And it's not, ever going to be the place where somebody goes on Expedia.com and says like, oh, like they're top bottom five. Like, they're the most expensive by a lot, but the convenience and the experience is the differentiator. And I think you've definitely created that, obviously, in your model. That's why you've been so successful and growing for so long. How do you do that?
It's funny that you brought up Four Seasons, and just for our audience, this obviously wasn't planned. I wore this shirt because it was like the next one up in my rack. I'm very like I wear it, I put it on the rack, and so it's the next one that had PRMG on it. You can't read it, but it says it's our presence cabinet, the PRMG presence cabinet, where we take winners from all three of our channels on the sales side, and we actually stayed at the Four Seasons in Punta Mita. That's awesome. And it actually says Four Seasons right here at the top. And so they give a level of service that you will pay a premium for. And our COO and co-founder, Robert Holiday, I mean, dude, this guy, like, when you have a deal that's got hair on it, like we have 2,600 employees. He is on the phone working on individual loans. We're not in a glass tower over here. By the way, this may look pretty. This is Corona. I'm in the desert. Okay. It's 102 degrees outside right now. There's no ivory tower. It's hot as hell in this office, especially at 3 a.m. when there's no AC. Anyway, Robert, he worked at Nordstrom's in the shoe department. And, he took that level of care and that level of service, the same thing that Four Seasons does, the same thing that Disney does, the same thing that your company does, and that what our company does is you have to provide value every single day. And that really starts at the top with our co-founders. Literally, our co-founders and our owners. We have this saying that we're built by originators for originators. And so what we do is we serve and define our customer, which is the account executive in wholesale, the originator in retail, and the branch manager in retail. That's our customer. It's not the builder. It's not the realtor. It's not the borrower. It's not any of that other stuff. That's our customer. We defined it. And so what's crazy is, I'll give Paul Rozzo a little credit here. So Paul, our CEO, he had an AE in Las Vegas one time say to him, they said, okay, I want my broker to be a raving fan of us. Paul, have you read Raving Fans? And it's a customer service book, short book, great exercise, by the way, if you want to give this to your team at UMortgage. Very quick read. Paul read it, had this epiphany. He handed it to every single one of our departments, and he made them read it and literally report to him in the boardroom as individual teams: payroll, HR, financing, licensing, secondary, marketing, all of them. And each of them, and so what the thing is, they say in the book, you have to give +1 service every day to your customer. So you have 365% better service at the end of the year. And the customer is defined as the originator, whether it's our retail originator, our retail branch manager, or our account executives, our own employees. How does HR, payroll, financing, all those departments serve our customer, which is our own teammates in those sales roles? That's how our company operates. Now, it's not a boys club. The tail doesn't wag the dog. You don't have a bunch of divas rocking around here like, serve me, I'm in sales. I mean, there's obviously some harmony between ops and sales. But when you define your customer like that and you give them service and you listen to them, of course the borrower is going to be taken care of. Of course the broker or the correspondent in our TPO channel is going to be taken care of. Of course the realtor that we serve in the retail channel is going to be served better because our expert, our own originator, branch manager, and AE are being served by the entire company. And that's been part of our culture and our mantra. I hate to use the word culture because it's overused, but that is part of the fabric of who we are. And again, that stuff provides value every day, and that never goes out of style.
100%. And I think that's like an important thing, like that people don't put a premium on is, first of all, it's very hard to build culture. You only know when there's no culture. You only know whether, people only talk about culture when it doesn't exist, when it's not there, when there's like no culture. So for me, like having been around your leadership team, the account executives, when I came out to your sales rally, like, you and I have hung out with some of your LOs, like I see it. I see the culture. I see how the relationships are. Like, it's not just about the business. It's, people talking about their families, people, you have the charity, the foundation that everybody contributes to help team members that have illness or family members have illness. Like that's not transactional. And I think, like, to me, when people try to boil it down to price or comp or signing bonuses or any of those things, like I check out of that conversation and I say, like, hey, listen, like if my value is just that, and like all gimmicks aside, like if that is all I am, then like, of course, like I would stop doing the mortgage business because then there's no reason for me to be around. Like there is more value.
Oh, thank you for bringing up the charity. That is a real near and dear to Paul Rozo, our CEO and founder. That's near and dear to his heart. We created a 501c3 called PRMG Cares, and we were giving money to Habitat for Humanity, and then we did Wounded Warriors for a while, and all great causes. And then as we got bigger and bigger, we just started having like our own coworkers like deal with hardship, right? I mean, someone in the office right next to me, she battled cancer, and so we, Heather Skipworth, we had like hashtag, Team Skipworth. And what we decided was, let's invest our charitable dollars to our own teammates. And we paid her salary for a year while she went through chemo and battled stage 4, breast cancer that had spread everywhere. And she has survived. I mean, she is a metastatic stage 4 survivor. And we did something real cool for her. We got like a babysitter, for her son, who now plays baseball at Cal, and sent her in a van with some friends to Vegas and sent her backstage with Blake Shelton to set her up with passes and put her up in the MGM. I mean, that was like kind of over the top, right? But people face hardship all the time, and we're investing. When you hear these companies like say, we're a family. I mean, that's some family shit that we did right there. Yeah. Like that is like what you do for people you truly care about. And so again, it's a testament to Paul Rosa, our CEO, and how we operate. We're not perfect. We try and get better every day, but things like that help us battle through whatever life throws our way. I mean, I think it's a great thing. So I appreciate you mentioning it.
Absolutely, it's great. It's a great cause. It's unique. It's definitely something that I haven't seen anywhere else. So, as far as us looking forward, obviously, one of the things I've noticed in this environment, and I guess my first time experiencing it was really in 2017, 2018, when I started Brawl and Aim. I look back now and I say, environment-wise at that time, rates were up. That was after the election, rates had gone up. When people's pipelines are empty, they got a lot more time on their hands. They have a lot more attention to give. And I think what I've learned over this cycle as well is it's kind of repeating the past, which is, last year, 2020, rates are low, people's pipelines are busy. They're not listening to much. They're pretty much just focused on their pipeline. And if they're not, then they're probably, not where they need to be focused. But right now, everybody's, kind of looking for leadership. Everybody's looking for guidance. Everybody's looking to, are we going to be okay? How's this thing going to go? Nothing's guaranteed. Yeah. I mean, you've heard all the reports, there's a extra capacity. Some companies are going to go away, M&A activity. This next 12 months could be dicey. How do you kind of like, lead your team, kind of look at this and say, obviously we've been there, but where are we going?
Well, for me, this is interesting. My role, my main role is chief lending officer. So I'm over sales for all 3 channels. And so I'm serving sales leaders for 3 different value propositions. And what's interesting that I've always noticed is that people, originators in our business, they follow leadership, immediate at the local level leadership. Are you getting leadership from your direct, report or your immediate person that's in the foxhole next to you? And so I told you when we first talked, I felt one of the things that the wholesale channel lacked was leadership, and, I felt that you, and I still say it, I felt that you and Matt Ishbia filled a void that was there. And there are other thought leaders out there, but social media, like what we're on today, it really changed the game. It made this availability to provide leadership, omnipresent. And the world has always been flat. It really is flat when it comes to technology, but especially with Zoom, you can zoom in on anybody and be there for them, even if you're not there physically. And a lot of times just having more touches than maybe a competitor's leader, that ultimately may drive someone's career decision, right? And so I think leadership is important to be visible now more than ever. Paul Rosso, get toot his horn one more time. When we have Zoom calls, he's like, I'm the worst at it, but when someone's not like has their video on, he's like, hey, how come so-and-so your video's not on? He like make sure the video's on. He wants to see them. He wants to see their face. Because if we can't be next to each other, face to face, because COVID, ripped everything apart and it's changed the whole game. He at least wants to see in that moment that they're together. That leadership at the local level is really the bond that originators flock to. I think, to your point about where we are in this part of the mortgage cycle, you and I, Gary, I would say Ishbia, there's a few people that run their motor at a high level at all times, and they never give up and they never stop. And that never gets old. That absolutely never gets old. People love and respect people that run and burn at a high level. Now, having said that, not everyone does that. And so, some people are in this industry because they want to play golf 3 times a week. I know a branch manager, at a competitor, the dude checks out at noon every day and he's drinking in his pool every day. And so, he's not producing at a high level. But that's kind of the beauty of this business. Having said that, doesn't matter what your work ethic is like. This is that time in the cycle where you're going to work twice as hard and make half as much as last year. And that's just the plain truth. And so it's what it is. We're very blessed that there's still a lot of purchase business out there. And we're also doubly blessed that the loan amounts are enormous. I mean, they're the largest they've ever been. The median home price last month in the report is $400,000 in America. It's the first time the median home price in America has touched $400,000. So loan amounts are enormous. And so, there's a lot of talk about, LO comp right now and people trying to gain an edge. Again, price is part of it, right? But, just on that note, I mean, if you're running the same margins you ran 5 years ago and loan amounts are twice what they are, should you be running at maybe half your margin that you were, or maybe 20%? To me, that's a kind of an interesting discussion, and that's where leadership comes into play. What I like to tell people is say, look, you're your best gauge of your time and your value. And so if you don't want to come down on your comp and you don't want to come down on your margins, that's okay. You might face more rejection, but the yeses that you get, and you get, those yeses because of your value, you're going to make this, what you've always made per loan, right? And with loan amounts rising, you might make more. I tell people not to sell themselves short on their value, but of course they have to actually bring value, right?
Yeah.
So, and so your platform, our platform, we have to help our originators create that value so they can have those conversations right now. How hard do I want to work? What do I want to do? Am I tackling purchase business in the right way? I mean, I know originators with teams and things that we've helped facilitate for them. They have so many leads, they can't call them all back.
Sorry there, folks. We had technical difficulty for a quick second. So back to what you were saying, KP, as far as those, those different models and the approach that you're taking, back to where you were before we got interrupted.
Oh yeah. No. I won't take, as a Dallas native, I won't take a shot at the city of Philadelphia. We'll keep the Cowboys Eagles rivalry out of this, but no, glad you're back, brother. Again, I think, providing value and really digging into our communities and getting purchase business is so important right now, because I think there's this big kind of like myth in our industry, like, hey, we're in a recession and the recession's coming and the Fed's going to come bail us out and bam, we're right back to another refi boom. Okay. I mean, is it going to be a boom? All the loans we just did the last couple of years with historic Fed liquidity injection of 0 Fed funds rate, I mean, that's probably not going to happen. We're likely in a mild recession right now. I mean, employment is full. unemployment rate's under 4%. There's still 11 million job openings out there. So the labor market hasn't really, or credit markets haven't really started to show any cracks or real weakness. So, and they might, and if they do, and then the industry starts to face other stuff. But my point is, if it's a recession that we're already in, or we're heading into, or whatever, it seems like it's going to be milder than the last one. And so everyone thinks, I don't know, I keep hearing like all these loans we did in the past, we're going to refinance them again. You know what? We might only have 4% rates, so, or even, 3.75% the next down part of the cycle when we start to see Fed fund cuts. So, or the bond market come back down. So the purchases of today might be the only refinances you get in the next part of the down cycle. So you have to grind it on purchase business. And, there are, that's for us, that's our expertise. I mean, we are purchase money specialists over here. We have a high percentage of purchase business. And that's where the majority of our originators come to us and trust us with that business, which is a validation of the value and relationship here with us and our originators, because those referral partners are gold right now. Realtors are hurting. I mean, realtors are flat out hurting right now. They're grinding for deals, and listing agents obviously rule the roost. But look, purchase business today is the refinances of tomorrow.
Yeah, I think one of the things that like I've learned over this cycle is, how many people aren't familiar with these cycles. Like your 40-year-old LO has never dealt with this. Like we have guys that are killer LOs that have been doing it for 5-6 years, build a $50-60 million book of business, $70 million book of business. And they came in the market after 2013, 2014. Like they haven't seen one of these cycles. And I think right now it's just one of those situations where the 40-year-old LO hasn't seen it before. The 50-year-old LO doesn't want to deal with it because they've been through it before and they've made so much money. And I think that's the opportunity, is like, not a lot of people are going to, hustling right now. Not a lot of people are going on offense, doing the events, doing what you do, which is, the relationship stuff. And it's hard, but like, that's where you win long-term. And that's like our whole entire business model has been built on, partnership playbook. Basically, partnership playbook's your playbook. It's relationships. It's being present when you're having conversations. If you're going to have a half-hour conversation, don't be on your phone. Be focused on adding value, identifying pain points. Figuring out like, how can I help this person? Or you might be in a situation where you can't help them at all, and there's no value to be added, and that's okay too. But to me, this is a people business, and as much as people want to say tech's going to disrupt it and change everything, I don't know. I feel like we're seeing right now, between what happened with Better.com, what happened, just from a high level perspective, from a volume perspective, the companies that are suffering the most. It's like the companies that were in the relationship business are doing well in this environment.
Yep, I agree. And to your point about tech, it can't solve everything. I mean, what if you have a power outage, right? So I will say the relationships that we have, that we've built, they matter now more than ever. And I couldn't agree with your approach more. It's interesting that you talk about the LOs that haven't seen this part of the cycle. It was weird because when everything was going crazy on March of 20, with all the margin calls and there was no liquidity, and then all of a sudden the Fed came in too hot and heavy, and then I was putting out nightly videos on my LinkedIn, and just trying to be cool and calm and collected, just going through it, and explaining. I mean, remember, there were like coupons, entire coupons on the rate sheets just has zeros. And people were like, why can't I price a loan at this rate at all? What is going on? Who's not buying the paper, and why is that? And so, I was explaining what was going on, and I helped build up that LinkedIn following, not because I wanted to. I wasn't trolling for likes. I mean, gosh, I usually just did like a video, every time I was on a road show, just to show people what I was doing. Like, hey, I'm on the road. Here's what we're talking about. But then it became like people really wanted to hear what I had to say. And again, I'm not perfect. I'm not all knowing, but I love the fact that, like what we're doing right now, we're just trying to build a sense of community. We're trying to be open. We're trying to be transparent. We're trying to, communicate, help each other out. And, to your point, sometimes you can't provide value for someone in that moment, but you might down the road. And so, just kind of, keeping base and touching base with someone, and keeping a relationship going, you never know what it could be later on. And so again, that's what relationship building, means to me. It's like, everyone goes through seasons in their life and in their business. And we're just going through one of those seasons right now. It's a seasonal change, and the winds of change are always blowing.
100%. And to your point about what you do, it's like, I think a lot of people think like in a very disingenuous way. They're like, oh, there has to be they're trying to get likes, they're recruiting, they're doing this. It's like, at the end of the day, it's like when you've been doing this for as long as, like, you've been doing it for 20 years, you started out, at the bottom, worked your way up, partner in a big company. Like at this point in your life, like it's not a strategy. It's just, this is who you are and this is how you're doing it. And if you had to like think of it, if it wasn't authentic, you wouldn't do it. If it was work to do the stuff that you do, you wouldn't do it. Like that's just the way you are. So like, to me, I think, passionate people like you, people that care about the industry, people that care about the clients, their team members, like they're the ones that are doing that kind of stuff. And it's important because this is what helps people get through their weeks and their months and gives them a little bit of direction. So
yeah,
at PRMG, last question here before we wrap up, obviously you guys have built a great culture, Gary, Paul, the whole leadership team. How are you guys, how do you keep that culture together? How do you guys, keep your relationships together? I mean, you said close to 3,000 team members, you got plenty of clients out there. You're all of your families. Like, what's your secret sauce to work-life balance and relationships with your peers?
I think it's very hard to do it the way we've done it, is to try and serve 3 different channels and serve account executives, branch managers, and originators. It is it's hard, right? And so we're not bigger than we are because we never chased being ranked number one in this market or being the best at non-QM. Like we're humble servants, right? So we try and serve everybody. And again, it's a blessing and a curse. And so there's this old commercial that used to air in the 80s in North Dallas, where I grew up in Garland. And this pastor, Pastor V.E. Tipton of the Southside Assembly of God said, "We are large enough to serve you, yet small enough to know you." And it's always stuck with me. I mean, I'm talking about like after Hogan's Heroes came on late at night, like this is the commercial, like the local commercial. It was all grainy, but that saying always stuck with me, and that's who we are, right? We're big enough to serve people and give them, all these abilities to grow and scale. But we really do try and know everybody. We literally try and know every single person that comes through here. We make them come to corporate multiple times a year and touch base and see people. And we put eyeballs on them in the interview process. And it's hard to do that. I mean,
yeah,
if you want to go, create a big retail, refi shop, you can scale and make a lot more money than we do. But again, you start to get into transactions and not relationship building. And so we're super comfortable with, who we are and in our own skin. And again, I mean, over time, I think people see that. And I had a guy from Loan Depot reach out to me one time in my DMs and LinkedIn saying, I see your videos. I like your company. And to your point, like, I don't use it to recruit. Right. And I'm like, I know Brian Covey and Alec Hansen. They're good dudes over there. Like, give them a call. Like, the grass is green where you water it. And that was it. It never messaged me back. I mean, I could have tried to recruit that guy. I mean, he came into my spider web, and I could have but again, I mean, it's like, I mean, look, everyone has, we're playing the infinite game here. So, to quote Simon Sinek, we're not going anywhere. This is what we do. We love doing mortgage origination, supporting the originators, and we're here. And, we feel, we've never been better capitalized. Obviously you have 2 great years like you did the last couple of years. And, we serviced a lot of loans, and, it's a good position to be in. So we're fortunate to be, a positive about the future. But you and I are not settling in our work ethic. We are not slowing down. So we're still grinding, and we're still available. All 4 owners, our entire senior management, we're always here. Here to serve our people. And so, again, that relationship service, humble servitude, like that you exemplify at UMortgage and the rest of your team, again, that's what people gravitate to. And again, it never goes out of style.
100%. I appreciate it, KP. This has been great. I'm sure, hopefully I got a lot of value of it. I hope everybody that watches it gets a lot of value of it. Great to see you, and I'll see you very soon. Have a great day.
All right, brother. Be good.